So we finally have the reveal of what 10.2.6 is going to be in World of Warcraft, and it seems pretty sick. So 10.2.6 is going to be a 60-player battle royale mode for World of Warcraft. Now this actually isn't going to be directly tied to any version of World of Warcraft. It's actually going to have its own section in the WoW launcher. So you launch a game, you go to the main menu, there'll actually be two tabs at the top, one that's normal WoW that you choose between the different realms and stuff and go to your normal characters, and one for World of Warcraft Plunderstorm, which is what this limited time battle royale mode is called. And because of this, you're not going to be using any of your pre-existing characters. So no matter if you're a retail player, no matter if you even have Dragonflight, no matter if you're a classic player, everybody with a WoW sub can just go to this separate tab and play Plunderstorm and be on the same footing. Now, as mentioned, this is a 60-player battle royale mode. So this is going to be both PvE and PvP. And the overarching design of this is that it's basically action combat in WoW. It's going to be quite a bit different than anything else in WoW currently works. So once you get into a match, you're pretty much only going to have a basic attack and a heal ability. These are kind of the two main things you're always going to have. Now, basic attacks aren't you just like right click somebody that keeps attacking. It seems to be like a GCD ability that, following along with an action combat type of playstyle, you're kind of swinging in front of you, and all of the different abilities you're able to use and find in this are going to be castable while moving. So it actually feels like action combat. And then you're going to have a bunch of other slots where you can find spells within the match to use. And it seems like you're going to have 4 additional spell slots. And again, you're going to be able to move around while using all of these different spells. And these aren't just going to be spells from classes or abilities we have in WoW. These are all going to be a bunch of new, unique spells. So one of them that they showed off a bunch of was you basically turn into a fire tornado and just move around the map really quickly, dealing damage to enemies near you. There's just tons of other like mage inspired spells that you're going to be using as a pirate. And with needing to find all these different spells, there's actually going to be some progression within every match, which are going to last 10 to 20 minutes. Because once you start the match, you're going to be trying to face PvE creatures and looting chests to find new abilities to get experience, because you do need experience to level up in every single match, which is going to increase your stats. So starting the match, you're going to be wanting to search for different spells and search for different creatures to fight and kill to level up and get stronger and stronger spells. And as you find spells, they're going to have random rarities. So you could get super lucky and find like an epic rarity of a spell, but also if you find multiples of the same spell, it will level that spell up, presumably making it a higher rarity. And it seems like they made a bunch of these spells with having different combinations in mind. So maybe you're like a full fire pirate, or maybe you're a full arcane pirate. So there's going to be tons of different abilities you can mix in different ways. And there's a few other pieces to this in kind of your base kit or base gameplay. One of them being there's no fall damage, so you'll be able to jump off whatever you want to jump off, and every person is going to have a double jump, which is pretty cool, which will probably feel really good just being able to run around, double jump, and use all of your spells while moving. So again, this is kind of turning WoW style combat into action combat, which is honestly one of the things I'm most excited for. Now this mode is going to be taking place in the revamped version of Arathi Highlands from BFA, and it seems like the mode is going to be the entirety of that zone, which means you're going to have quite a lot of play space for 60 players, an entire zone. So especially at the start of a match, you're probably not going to be seeing a ton of players. You're probably going to be mostly seeing PvE creatures, bosses, and chests to progress yourself up. And presumably as players make their way towards the center of the map, there's going to be more and more combat as the game continues to progress. Now you'll be able to queue up for this mode as either a solo or a duo. They will have separate matches, so you're not going to be a solo player going against duos. If you're in a duo match, everybody in there's going to be a duo. If you're a solo, every person in there's going to be a solo. And it seems like you're able to queue with random people for duos, or you can invite anybody on your friends list to queue together. Now duos are going to have a few additional features, like if you die in a duo, your partner can go over and revive you. All you have to do is basically stand in a circle around their body for a certain amount of time and you'll revive them. If you actually die seemingly in solos or duos, you're able to spectate other players. If you're in a duo and you die and your partner's still alive, you can only spectate them. But if you both die, you can spectate anybody in the match. Presumably in solos, you'll be able to spectate anybody as well. And one really interesting part about this is since it's going to be in a different tab and not going to be part of any of the other WoW versions, there are going to be no add-ons. Your add-ons aren't going to be a part of this limited time game mode, which is pretty interesting. And also the developers talked about them also needing to do certain things because you're not going to have all these add-ons. They had to design the UI in a new way and add a bunch of new things to make sure everything was very obvious and very intuitive. So if you're worried about certain players getting an advantage because they have a bunch of add-ons, those aren't going to play a part in this mode whatsoever. But that brings us to rewards, because it seems like there's going to be quite a lot of rewards you're able to earn from this. There's going to be a renown track for just playing this mode. There's going to be 40 ranks of the renown track, every single one going to be giving you a different cosmetic. They've already shown off, I think, multiple different full cosmetic sets of armor, bunch of different weapons, a handful of pets, and I think they've also shown off one mount. Now, most of this is only going to be for the retail client. Obviously, all these cosmetic sets and all these different pets and all this stuff are going to be primarily for retail. There's also going to be some pets and a mount for classic players as well. And you don't have to win a match to progress through this renown track. It's kind of like a free battle pass. The renown tracks in Dragonflight were already inspired by battle passes. They're just not a paid for system. And it's going to be the same way here. You're not paying for anything. It's just a very good way to show you all the rewards you'll be able to get. And they did say this will level up somewhat quickly. They said you'll probably be getting a level or two like every 4 matches, and matches are 10 to 20 minutes. So presumably with how efficient players actually are, this will probably be a bit quicker than that, but 40 total levels. So you need to play a decent amount of matches to get all of the rewards. It seems to be quite a lot of rewards, and these matches are somewhat quick and they actually seem to be pretty fun. And a final thing that I think is very important with this is that even though this is a limited time event, the developers specifically said if people enjoy this, they will bring it back. So if you start playing this and you really enjoy it, make sure to go on like Twitter or Reddit or wherever else and say that you like this mode and you want it to either come back or be just a permanent mode. And they also mentioned that since they developed this tech, this will allow them to make a lot of other events in a similar manner to this. And I think there's specifically talking about this being in this separate tab outside of the normal WoW client. So presumably this is going to allow some of the development teams on WoW to make a lot of these much more unique events and not have to have them directly tied to our pre-existing characters, which I think is going to be pretty incredible for future content and just kind of wacky events they could potentially do, because this is something very unique compared to pretty much anything else we've gotten in World of Warcraft. So I, for one, am very excited for the server to come up to start playing this. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.
The plunder and adventure's about to begin.